Okay, welcome everybody. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes to allow some more people to join. Good to see lots of people in the call. This is the first day of the 100 sales in 10 days challenge. So I hope everybody's excited. We are going to take you through every step you need to take in order to get your first 100 sales in 10 days with dropshipping over these next 10 days. So like I said, we're just going to wait for a few more people to join. For those of you who are joining for the first time, I am one of the coaches here at Zendrop. I've been dropshipping for over 8 years. I've done 7 figures in revenue with 3 dropshipping stores. So hopefully I'll be able to share some insights with you and answer any questions that you have. Over these next 10 days, I'll be doing multiple live calls among the other coaches. So hopefully we see some familiar faces. So like I said, I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes because I can see there's a lot of people still joining. And we will get started. On this first day of the 100 sales in 10 days challenge, we are going to cover finding products and building an offer for your store. So like I said, I'm just going to give it about 1 or 2 more minutes and see how many people join, and then we will get started. Good to see some familiar faces in here as well. So I think we will get started. So I'm going to share the screen with you. I'm going to be covering this topic for about 40 minutes. And then the last 20 minutes of the call, we will go through some questions. So we'll open our live chat and you can ask some questions and we can go through those. So like I say, the first day of 100 sales in 10 days challenge, we're going to look at finding products in 2026 and how to position them on your store, how to build an offer so people actually want to buy them. And when it comes to finding products for your store, finding products to sell, I just want to start off by mentioning that when you first build your store, you don't need a massive catalog of products. I think there's a common misconception that you need 30, 40, 50 products on your store. It's better to have a small catalog of well-researched products than a really big catalog of loads of random products. I recommend starting out with one niche. That's my personal preference. With any store that I've scaled, I've chosen one niche and researched products within that niche. You don't have to go for super narrow niches. So you could go for broader niches like sports or pets or home decor. And then there are still a huge variety of products that you can try to test in the market with ads. So that's just one thing I want to mention. When you're researching products, you only need maybe 4 or 5 very well-researched products, and you'll have a list of those, put them in a priority order of the ones that you want to test first with marketing. And then you're just going to go all in with those 4 or 5 products and see if you can make some sales. If the first one that you test starts to make consistent sales, then you just go all in with that product. You don't need to worry about the other 3 or 4 products that you've researched. So put them in when you're researching products, put them in a priority list of the ones that you want to test first. And then if they start to make consistent sales, just go all in with that product. Okay. So that's just a caveat before we actually look at how to research products. Now, when it comes to product research, there are a certain set of criteria that every product that you research has to meet. So when you're researching products, always refer back to this key product criteria and think about, are the products that you're researching and are the products that you're planning to sell, do they meet this criteria? And we're going to go through these now. So the first key product criteria is the product has to have high perceived value. Always keep this at the top of your mind when you're researching products. Does the product have high perceived value? I've just put here high perceived value products make customers feel like they're getting more than they pay for. That's super important, right? You want your customers to feel like they're getting a good deal. So whether that's status, transformation, or uniqueness, the product itself might cost $5. But if it looks like it should cost $50, then you've created high perceived value. We're going to look at some examples now as you research more products, this becomes much easier to identify products with high perceived value. So it's not going to happen overnight. It will take you some time to find products with high perceived value, but eventually it just becomes second nature. It's partially common sense to, some products naturally have higher perceived value. I'm going to give you some examples. So let's say you wanted to start selling products in the pet niche. I'll show you a product with low perceived value, something like this: portable dog water bottle. The reason it has low perceived value is because you can pretty much buy it from anywhere. You can get it from Walmart. There are hundreds of listings on Amazon for this product with thousands of reviews. It doesn't solve a massive problem. It's a very simple product, not very unique. There's nothing high perceived value about it. So if you wanted to sell in the pets niche, you wouldn't really sell a product like this. You'd probably want to sell something like this GPS tracker for dogs. This is the type of product that has high perceived value, solves a big problem, which is if people's dog, if they lose their dog, if they're taking it out for a walk, they take it off the leash and it runs away, they know where their dog is. This product gives people peace of mind. Or if they're, if their dog gets stolen, which happens often, people steal pets. If they break into a home, they get stolen, they know where their dog is. They can find their dog. This solves a big problem. It's an electronic device. So again, naturally has slightly higher perceived value. And again, it's more unique. It's not easily purchased. You can't just walk into Walmart and buy a GPS tracker for dogs. You will see a few on Amazon, but again, they're slightly more expensive. Now, we will speak later on about competing with Amazon, because I know a lot of beginner dropshippers think, how can we compete with Amazon? And we will touch on that in a moment. So like I say, the first thing is high perceived value. I'll show you some more examples. This product here, this LED sand lamp, will have a much higher perceived value than this very basic ceramic table lamp. The reason being, it's more unique. The design is sleeker. Again, it's not easily accessible. You can't just buy this from anywhere. You can't just walk into a home decor shop or a furniture shop and buy something like this. It's a very unique design. And it has what we call the wow factor. So if we go back to the key product criteria, you will see solves a problem or has a wow factor. If your product solves a problem or has a wow factor or both, it will also naturally have a higher perceived value. So they kind of go hand in hand, those two product criteria. Now, if we have a look, you can see on Zendrop, you can get this product for around $20 with 8-day shipping, right? So very fast shipping, very good cost of goods. We will go into margins in a moment, but I just wanted to show you that a product like this, you can sell. This is around $85. So you can sell it, you can get it for around $20, and you can sell it for much higher prices because it has high perceived value. It has a wow factor, has a unique design. It can't be purchased just anywhere. Okay, so always keep that in the back of your mind. I'll show you one more example. These products here, this store is doing really well. They're selling massive amounts of this product. Massage insoles, a very simple product. Again, the reason it has a high perceived value is because it solves a big problem, which is foot pain, right? It alleviates foot pain. People are willing to pay more for a product that solves a big problem. Okay, so again, this product has high perceived value. They're selling, the sell price is quite low, but they rely on selling bundles. So they rely on selling 2 pairs or 3 pairs or 5 pairs. Okay, again, we will look at this in a moment. Once we've gone through the key product criteria and we start looking at building an offer and making your store and product attractive to customers, we will go over this. But like I say, they're relying on bundles. So a lot of customers will purchase 2. So this product maybe doesn't have a huge perceived value, but when they're able to bundle it together, they create a higher perceived value. And again, you can get this product here on Zendrop. You can see around $6 to $7, again, with 8-day shipping. And you're able to sell this for, well, £18 is around $25. But again, if you sell 2 pairs, you can sell it for around $50, right? So you can, make the margins are good with this product when you sell them in bundles, is the point I'm trying to make. So that's the first key product criteria, high perceived value. The next is the product has to have high margin. Now, in most cases, if a product has a high perceived value, it will have a high margin. Not in all cases. So I've just given an example here of sunglasses, for example. You can get some sunglasses for $1 or $2, but if they're not, if they're not well branded and if you don't present them as a luxury pair of sunglasses, you can only probably sell them for $20, $25. So the margins are not massive, even though they may have a higher perceived value than what they're actually worth, right? So, like I say, most products with high perceived value will have a high margin. When you're working out your margins, this is the math equation that you want to do. You want to work out 70%. So any product that you sell should have a 70% margin and a minimum 70% margin, and also a minimum $30 monetary margin. You could perhaps get away with $25. The reason I say $30 minimum is because if you want to run ads on Facebook, on TikTok, on Google, ad platforms are getting more expensive. So you need enough margin to be able to acquire a customer with ads. So let's say you pay for ads on TikTok, it costs you $20 to get a customer, then you've got $10 left of actual profit. Like I say, you could get away with $25. It just means you're going to have to sell a lot more to make a lot more money. Okay, so we'll just do a very simple bit of maths here. If we're getting a product for $12 and we'll work out 70% margin, so we do divide by 0.3. Don't worry too much about this. That means that we would sell the product for $40, right? That's a 70% margin. But that means we only have a $28 monetary margin. So in that instance, if we're getting a product for $12, maybe we want to sell it for 75% margin. So we do divide by 0.25, which means that we can sell the product for $48 with a $36 margin. So that's how you can work it out. 70%, you just do divide by 0.3, and then you know what your monetary margin is, okay? So we have a look at some of the products that we've just looked at. If we have a look at this, you can see they're selling it for £65. So we'll just have a look. £65 in US dollars is around $90, okay? We can get the product here on Zendrop for $19 with 8-day shipping, so fast shipping times. So let's do 20. We'll just round it up to 20, divide by 0.3 to get 70% margin. You can see that we can sell this for example, $66.99. Okay, $66.99 minus the $20 that it costs us, we have a $47 monetary margin. So this product meets our margin criteria. We can sell it for 70% margin and also have a $47 margin. Now, when you're thinking about how much customers are willing to pay for a product, just have a look at your competitor stores. So have a look at other competitor stores that are doing well. One thing I recommend to do is you can install, I'll just show you, a Chrome extension called SimilarWeb. Okay, so install this as a completely free Chrome extension. And with this Chrome extension, you can look at how much traffic your competitors are bringing in, and you can kind of estimate how many sales that they're making. So if we have a look at this store with the massage soles, if we click on the SimilarWeb Chrome extension, we can see in November, these guys brought in 968,000 monthly visits. So we can do 968,000. Okay, average conversion rate for an e-commerce store is around 2%. Some are higher, some are lower, but we'll just go for the average. So if we divide this by 100 times by 2, so we can estimate that they made around 19,000 sales. Okay, let's say their average order value is £18 times 18. So they brought in around £350,000. Okay, so we know they're making a huge amount of sales. The reason I'm saying this is because, as I mentioned, when you want to, where are we? Let's just come back here. When you want to look at how much you can sell a product for, just have a look at the competitor stores, okay? Just have a look at the competitor stores. I'm just going to quickly check the chat just to make sure if everyone is keeping up and just emitting some more members. Okay, cool. We'll just go back to sharing screen. So I think I'm just going to share with you again. So this is the SimilarWeb Chrome extension because I'm not sure if it was sharing. So this is a SimilarWeb Chrome extension. You just install it into Chrome. And like I say, you can then click on the Chrome extension and it will show you the monthly visits for any store. So we were just having a look at this store, 968,000 visits. You can see here, November, 968,000. So we've just done 968,000 divided by 100 times by 2, okay, to find 2% conversion rate. So they're making about 19,000 sales per month, right, just with this product. So that's why I wanted to illustrate to you. So I recommend everybody to install this SimilarWeb Chrome extension, and it's completely free. You can check, I think, 2 stores per day for free. Or you can see here weekly usage. You can check 15 stores every week for free. Okay, so you can see their monthly visits, and then you can do the basic calculation to work out how many sales they're bringing in. Like I said, the reason we look at that, if we link this back to the key product criteria, we're trying to work out the margin. So you can have a look at competitor stores, right? So we could have a look at this store, for example. Let's have a look at this with SimilarWeb, and we can see how many sales they're bringing in. We can make an estimate. So we could see last month they brought in 38,000 monthly visitors. Okay, so 38,000 divided by 100 times by 2. So we know they got around 760 sales last month with this product. So if 760 people last month purchased this product, then we know that we can sell it for £65, right? So £65, we'll just come back over here, means that we have a high perceived value for we have a high margin for this product, okay? So we can get it for $20, we can sell it for around £65, okay? Which is around $90. So we have very high margin on this product. So I'm always going to keep referring back to the key product criteria. So we've gone over high perceived value, we've gone over high margin. Next up is the product should solve a problem or have a wow factor. So we have a look at this. This is what we would call a wow factor product. Doesn't really solve a problem, but it has a very unique design. It's not, you can't just buy it from anywhere. It looks very cool. It looks very different. Okay. Again, if we have a look at these are basically a problem solving product. They alleviate foot pain. Now, it's very easy to come up with product ideas that solve problems. You could just come over to ChatGPT and you could just put in a prompt like this. I'm starting an e-commerce brand. I need to pick a niche for my store. I want to pick a niche that aligns with solving problems, and I want to pick a niche from these categories. You can choose the categories that you want, right? So I recommend choose some categories that you're interested in or you have some knowledge of. You could pick some categories directly from Zendrop. Okay. So if we come over to find products, we can come to all categories and you can just enter in some of these categories, right? So you could add in baby and toddler, you could add in electronics, you could add in health and beauty, home garden, whatever you're interested in, right? And then you could just say, come up with 50 problems for each of these niches. It will then come up with loads of problems, and then you can start to brainstorm product ideas based on these problems. So you can ask ChatGPT again, can you come up with some product ideas that solve these problems? So if we have a look at some of these problems here, under home improvement and lighting, we can see no flexible lighting control. We can see dangerous exposed wires and sockets. If we have a look at some of these other ones, no power outlets in key areas. So to me, this is all about wireless, okay? Dangerous exposed wires, no power outlets, no flexible lighting control. So we could go for wireless lighting, for example. So again, we could come over to Zendrop. We could type in wireless lighting, right? We'll start to have a look if we could find a product that we want to sell. So we'd have a look at wireless lighting. If you can't find a product on Zendrop, okay, some cases, you can't always find a product. Have a look on AliExpress as well, and then you can request a product on Zendrop. So if I have a look over here, I've just typed in wireless wall lamp. We want to look for products with high perceived value. So we have a look at some of these. right? I think I've picked some of these out that I think have high perceived value. Let's say we wanted to sell these. We could just copy the link. We can go back to Zendrop, click on request a product. You paste the link in here and you just click on request. The reason you want to do that is because it's more reliable to fulfill your products through Zendrop than through AliExpress. Okay. But like I say, in some cases, you might not be able to find the product on Zendrop. So you can just request it on Zendrop, and then you get a reliable supplier with faster shipping. You could brand your products in Zendrop. So you get loads of things that you don't get with AliExpress. The reason I just wanted to show you that is because when you click on find products, you might not be able to find every product that you're looking for. So you can find it on AliExpress and then you can request it in Zendrop. So we'll go back to solving problems. The problems that we're looking at are no flexible lighting control. So lighting that you can dim or schedule the lighting with. Dangerous exposed wires, so we're going for wireless lighting. No power outlets in key areas, again, wireless lighting. So I've just typed in wireless wall lamp. Some of these have low perceived value, right? For example, these, they're very small. If we scroll up here, very small, you could just buy them on Amazon. These are some cool ones that I think have high perceived value, right? Some high quality ones. So now we know it's got high perceived value. Next up, we want to check the margin, right? So what you can do is you can just take a screen grab of the product and you can head over to Google and you can just do an image search, right? So just click on search by image and then you can find all of the other stores that are selling the product. The next thing you want to do, you have a look at a couple of these stores. So these are some of the stores that are selling a similar product, right? We can see here. You can then also check something called the meta ads library. So if you go over to Google, you can just type in the meta ads library. Right? This meta is Facebook and Instagram. So these are basically Facebook and Instagram ads. And you can have a look at any of these competitor stores and see the ads that they're running. So when you come over to the meta ads library, I've just typed in Picadex, which is this store here. We can see they're not running any ads on Meta. So that's not a good sign. The next one I've had a look at is this Light My House, okay, which is this store. They're running a few ads on Meta. The thing you want to look for here is how long have they been running the ads? You want to see stores that have been running ads for at least a month, right? So you can see they've been running this since the 8th of December. So that's almost a month. So that's a good sign. And they've got another ad here running since the 12th. And then if we have a look at this one, House of Interiors, which is this store here selling a very similar product to the one we were looking at that solves our problem of wireless lighting. We can see that they're running a lot of ads, okay? And they've been running ads since the 13th of November, the 13th, the 13th. If we have a look here, the 16th, the 16th. So they've been running ads for almost 2 months. So we can assume that they're bringing in some good sales. We can also use the SimilarWeb Chrome extension again to estimate how many sales that they're bringing in. So that way we've got 2 ways of validating and verifying that this store is bringing in a decent amount of sales. We know that they've been running ads for 2 months. So if they're spending on ads for 2 months, they're most likely bringing in sales. And if we have a look on SimilarWeb, we can also look at the traffic they're bringing in and see how many sales they're bringing in. So now we can kind of reverse engineer this, right? We can look at the products that they're selling, and we can then also go and sell those products. So we can see they're selling this lamp here, right? This is their best seller. This is the one they're running all of their ads to. So we can have a look at all of their ads. You can see this ad here, and all of these ads at the bottom here are for the same product, which is this product here, okay? So now we can go and find this product. Like I said, we've already validated that it's bringing sales. It has a high perceived value. Does it have a high margin? Well, we can go and find it on Zendrop. So what we can do is if you can't find it on Zendrop, you can find it on AliExpress, and then you can request a quotation for it on Zendrop. Now, I've already had a look, and I know that we can get this product, I believe, for around $25. They're selling it for £125. So we know it's got high margin, okay? They're running ads to it. We know it's got high margin. We don't even need to do our equation, but let's just say, for argument's sake, we can get it for $25 divided by 0.3 for 70% margin. We could sell it for around $84.99. Would be cheaper than our competitor, and we still have a very high margin. So let's say we're selling it for $85, we're getting it for $25. We have a $60 margin, very high margin product. Okay. Does it have high perceived value? Yes. Does it have high margin? Yes. Does it solve a problem? Yes, because it solves our problem of no flexible lighting control, dangerous exposed wires and sockets, no power outlets in key areas. So yes, it solves a problem. It also has a slight wow factor to it as well. If we have a look, it looks very luxury, looks very high quality. It's not just a typical light style that you can find anywhere. So it kind of meets both of these criteria. The next key product criteria is you need to be able to sell products between the $40 and $100 price range. You don't really want to be selling products for more than $100. The reason being is because with drop shipping, you rely on impulse buys. So someone will see your ad on Facebook or on Instagram, they'll click through to your store, and if they like the product and they feel like your store is trustworthy, they'll purchase. That's an impulse buy. They didn't think about it. You just caught their attention and they purchased it. For products that are more than $100, it's harder to rely on impulse buys. The more expensive a product gets, the more research a customer will do. So they'll think about it. They might go away. They might look at other stores. They might, try to find some reviews of your store. They're going to think about it a little bit more. So that's why you don't really want to sell products for more than, I would say, maximum $150, right? I put $100 here because it's much easier. And the reason you don't want to sell products for less than $40 is because you just won't have enough margin. If you're getting a product for $15 and you're selling it for $30, you only have a $15 margin. So this is the sweet spot for drop shipping pricing, between $40 and $100 price range. Next up, you don't want the product to be too saturated on Amazon. It doesn't matter if there are some sellers selling the product on Amazon, that's fine. It just can't be too saturated, right? So again, if we have a look at this product here, I've had a look on Amazon. There aren't really any other Amazon listings for it that are much cheaper. Okay, so we can see this one. I know it's not the exact same lighting, but they're selling it for £75, which is basically the price that we would sell it for on our store. The main thing you really want to look for with Amazon is, are there lots of strong listings? A strong listing is, it's got thousands and thousands of purchases. It's got loads and loads of reviews. It has a very high review rate, 4.9 stars or something like that. If you see lots of listings with really bad reviews or not a lot of sales, even if it's cheaper than what you want to sell it for in your store, it doesn't matter, because people have this idea in their minds that products on Amazon are of lower quality than if they were to purchase from a store. So if someone purchases this product from Picadex, because the store is well branded, it looks professional, it looks trustworthy. Most of these images are generated with AI. They believe that the product is of higher quality, so they're willing to pay more for it. So basically, don't worry too much about competing with Amazon. The thing that you should do is that you should focus on is making your store look super trustworthy, super well branded, super professional. And when we talk about the offer later on, so trying to give your customer as much as you can give them, right? So if they purchase from you, they get more than if they were to purchase from Amazon. So you don't really need to compete with Amazon if you do everything correctly. And the other thing to mention is, because we rely on impulse buys, a lot of times customers won't even check Amazon. They'll come over to your store. If they think the product's good, if they trust your store, if they like the ad, if the product page sells them the product, they'll just buy it and they won't even check Amazon. Okay, so just get that in your mind. Don't worry too much about competing with Amazon, because it's very easy to beat Amazon as a dropshipper. Now we'll go through the last two key product criteria, which is, ideally you should find products that have multiple marketing angles or multiple audiences, or both. I'll go over what this means, because I know for beginners, maybe this is a little bit too in-depth, but I'll show you an example. This store here called the Rubles, right? All they do is sell crochet kits. Now, the way that they market their store, they market it with multiple marketing angle. So a marketing angle is basically just another way of selling the product. Just think of it that way. So this is their meta ads library, so we can see all the ads that they're running. The way they market this product, they market it to parents as a product to help reduce screen time for kids. So that's one marketing angle, reducing screen time, and the audience is parents. Okay, so that's one marketing angle, one audience, reducing screen time, and they're marketing it to parents. So reduce screen time for your kids. They also market as a product to reduce screen time for adults. So people that are addicted to their phone, or they're bored in the evenings and all they do is scroll on TikTok or Instagram, and they want to reduce their screen time. They market this in ads as a way to reduce your screen time. So they market it. The marketing angle is reducing screen time with two audiences, one to parents and one for adults. They also market this product as an anti-anxiety product, an anxiety relief product. So if you have a lot of anxiety, you can sit down and do a little bit of crocheting, and it helps to relieve your anxiety. So that's another marketing angle. They also market this product simply as just pick up a new hobby, right? So a lot of their ads are, do you want to try a new hobby? That's another marketing angle. So when you're researching products, this is not essential, but it's better if you have more marketing angles and more audiences to market your product to, because then you have more potential people to sell your product to. You could bring in more potential sales. You have more potential customers. Some products don't have multiple marketing angles, right? They just, if it's a maternity pillow for pregnant women, there's only one audience for that product. It's pregnant women, right? Or maybe you could market it to the husbands, but realistically, there's only a few audiences that you can market maternity pillows for pregnant women to. Okay, so some products will only have a few angles and a few audiences. So like I said, this is not essential, but just start thinking about, when you're researching products, how would I sell this product, and who do I want to sell it to? What audience do I want to sell it to? And what pain points are those customers facing? Okay, so always think about customers' pain points. That's why I say come back to ChatGPT and think about the customer's pain points and how your product can solve those pain points. So again, with crocheting, you don't want to market this just as like, do some crocheting. They market it as reduce screen time. A lot of parents are very worried that their kids spend too much time on tablets, on phones, on watching YouTube. So they want to give their kids some hobbies that helps them to be creative and use their brain and use cognitive skills. So it's a very clever way of marketing this product. And again, if we have a look at this product, you can get it here on Zendrop for $10, right? Or $9.50 with 8-day shipping. Okay, so some good margins on this product as well. And then the last one is the last key product criteria. Again, this is just a bonus product criteria. It's not essential, but just start thinking about this in your mind. Does the product have digital product potential? Can you pair your product with a digital product to increase your offer and bring in more sales? Okay, so if we have a look at this store here, again, if we scroll down, we'll scroll all the way down, you can see they have an ebook, Foot Mastery Health. So they pair their physical product with this free digital product to increase the perceived value so they can make more sales, right? And it doesn't cost them any extra to fulfill. So their cost of goods don't go up, because they create this free ebook once and they can fulfill it 1,000 times, 100,000 times, 1,000,000 times, right? As soon as somebody purchases the product, they get the ebook with it. So always think, again, this is not essential, but always think about how could you pair your product with a digital product to increase its value. And that way, if you increase the value of the product, more people are more likely to purchase it. Again, if we have a look at this crochet kit store, they actually they have step-by-step videos for all of their crochet kits. So that's a digital product, right? And this also helps you to beat Amazon, because if I was to buy a crochet kit from Amazon, I'm not going to get a step-by-step video guide. If I'm a parent and I'm buying this for my kid, having a step-by-step video guide is going to make my life so much easier. I can give the kit to my kid. I can say, here's the step-by-step video guide, follow it through, etc. Right? So always think about how you compare your products with digital products. If we have a look at this, this is a weighted jump rope, a very simple product. If we scroll down, we can see they've created this app with all of the workouts that you can do with this jump rope. So not only do you get the jump rope, you also get all of the workouts to help you use it and help you lose weight. Again, that's a digital product. So we'll have a look at one more example. If we have a look at these barefoot shoes, if we scroll across, let's have a look. They have this, the 10 best hiking trails in the UK, a free ebook. This is, it's not an amazing digital product, but it is still a digital product that they pair and they give for free to their customers. So as I say, this is kind of a bonus criteria. If you can think about adding a digital product to the product that you're selling, it's going to make it much easier to sell. You can increase the perceived value. You can have a better offer. You can beat competitors. So these are all things to think about. Now, I know we've gone over a lot of things. One last thing to mention is you can always go over to Google Trends, right? I'm sure you've all heard of it, but always have a look at it and have a look at the trend of the products that you want to sell and see if they're going up or if they're at least steady. The main thing is they shouldn't be going down, right? There's always going to be a dip for most products after November and December because there's so many sales in Black Friday and people are searching for things for Christmas and Black Friday. But in general, you should see it steady over the year. So for example, if we come back to the wireless lamps, we can see on Google Trends in the United States over the past year, it's been pretty strong, right? It's been pretty steady. Again, if we have a look at ceiling lights over the past 5 years worldwide, pretty steady. So you just don't want products that basically have no demand. Okay, so have a look on Google Trends as well. So now we've gone over the key product criteria. We've gone over how to research products. I'll just do a quick recap. You want to find products with high perceived value. You want to calculate the margin. You calculate the margin based on your competitor stores. You can have a look at your competitor stores and how many sales they're bringing in by using the SimilarWeb Chrome extension and estimating their traffic and sales. And then you know that the product is bringing in a decent amount of sales. Once you know that, then you can calculate the margin by finding the product on Zendrop. So you can either find it directly from Find Products or you can request a product using an AliExpress link, work out the margin. You can find products that solve problems using ChatGPT, and you can see if your product solves that problem. Sale price should be between $40 and $100. Have a look on Amazon just to see if there are any super strong listings on there, and then start to think about what marketing angles and audiences you can sell your product to, and if you compare it with a digital product. One other thing that I haven't put on here is you can also have a look at what country you want to sell it to. So start to think about where I've put here audiences. You can also think about which country you want to sell it to. So you can come back to the Meta Ads library. You can see where your competitors are selling a product. So again, these guys are called UK, so they're going to be selling in the UK. But if we just go, for Australia, for example, we can see if they're running any ads in Australia, which they most likely won't be, as you can see. So now we could perhaps think, all right, we're going to take one of their products from the UK and we're going to run it in Australia because it's less competitive. If we have a look at the Woobles, the one I just showed you, let's have a look at their ad library. We can see, are they running ads in Australia? Let's have a look. Right. So we can see they're not running any ads in Australia. So we could take this product, we could literally replicate their store, right? Use it as inspiration, build it better. We've got the product here on Zendrop and we can run it to Australia. We've already started to think about which country we want to target because we know our competitors are not running any ads in Australia. So that's just another thing when you're researching products. Think about what country you want to sell to as well. Have a look at competitors. If they're not selling to that country, then it's going to be much easier for you to sell to that market because you don't have to even compete with the competitor because they're not even targeting that market. We've gone over that. We're going to go over 5 minutes and then we'll open up for questions just over the store and the offer. Okay. You'll see most stores have a very similar layout. Now, the most important, I want everybody to keep this in the back of their mind. The most important page is the product page. Don't worry about the home page that much. Don't worry about all these other pages. The product page is where you sell the product. The product page is where you send the traffic. If you're running ads on Facebook, Instagram, anywhere, the customers are coming to the product page. Very simple color palette. Always have a simple color palette, right? So black, white, gray, and one accent color. So you can see here, this store, they have black, white, gray. Their accent color is orange. So the accent color is just for call to actions, for banners, things like that, right? That's what the accent color is. If we have a look at these guys, they have 2 accent colors. I recommend one because then you can't mess it up if you have one accent color. But you'll see they use black, white, gray, and they use this brown and green. Okay. If we have a look at the Woobles, they use 2 accent colors, red and green, but I always recommend just to use one, right? Much easier. If we have a look at product page layout, The first thing is the gallery. Okay. Your images should match the branding of the rest of your store. I see so many people using the default images like this, right? With other fonts on it, other colors on it. If we have a look at this, it's got different fonts, different colors. You can get ChatGPT now to generate new images for you, right? So just put a little bit of extra effort in and make sure the images match the branding of the rest of the store. So you can see all these images, same fonts, same colors. If we have a look at Pure Step, all of the branding, same fonts, same colors on their images. Super easy to do this. You can create some images like this. ChatGPT will generate them for you. Also, with your product images, have some information about the product on the images. 90% of customers look through the gallery first. So if you can give customers lots of information about the product using the images, you're more likely to convince them to purchase, right? So think about tangible outcomes for the customers. Think about the customers' pinpoints. So the tangible outcome with this is walk in comfort or it's free, okay? Arch support, fits any shoe, massage, right? So they're giving customers lots of information about the product. If we have a look at here on this store, we can see anti-slip grip for safe walking, easy to put on and off without laces, breathable material. They're giving the customers lots of information. So keep it simple, keep your images simple. But the main point I want to get across is edit the default images that you get from any, if you're getting them from Zendrop or if you're getting images from other places, edit them so that they match the branding and that you've got lots of information on the product images. The next thing is you want to have a brief summary of your product's outcomes or the solutions that they provide to the customer. So you can see instant relief, clinically tested, podiatrist recommended. Okay. If we have a look at these ones, easy pressure on your feet, ideal for outdoor everyday life, developed with orthopedists. So you just want to have a couple of bullet points about the product. These guys have a little bit more, but you get the general idea, right? A couple of bullet points about what it does. With the offer, you want to offer your customers as much as you can to make it seem like they're getting more for their money. So again, this comes back to high perceived value. So we can see with this store here, if you buy two, you get it at a cheaper price. You can easily add bundles to your store. Just going to put my charger in. You can easily add bundles to your store using Shopify apps, right? Again, these guys do it here. They bundle 2 pairs and it's cheaper. So customers get more for their money, right? That's the first thing. Again, we already mentioned digital products. So try to bundle your product with a digital product. It doesn't cost you anything to fulfill, but the customer feels like they're getting more, okay? So try to bundle your product with a digital product. You could do other types of bundles. So you can also bundle complementary products together. So for example, let's see, these guys are not doing it. Yeah, you could see, they could bundle this with a pet toy, for example, a free toy. Okay. Something, when you're bundling a complementary product, it should be something that's very, very cheap to fulfill, $1 or $2 to fulfill. Okay. So just think about that. If we have a look at this store, they could give away light bulbs, some very cheap light bulbs. Okay. So always try to add in some complementary products. Try to give your customers a little bit more, so they feel like they're getting extra. Okay. So like I say, digital products, bundles, we call these quantity discounts. So if they buy more, they get them at a cheaper price. So have that in the back of your mind as well. When you're designing your store and you're researching your products and thinking about products that you want to sell, think about, what could I bundle this with? What digital product could I add? Could I sell 2 of these at a cheaper price? Not every product people want to buy 2, right? You can't apply this to every single product. It doesn't work. So think about that. Think, would a customer want to buy 2? If not, let me create a different bundle deal, right? Let me add a complementary product. So again, like for this, customer probably doesn't want to buy 2, let's say, of this product, right? Maybe they just want to buy 1. So we can offer them some free light bulbs, all right? So if we just come over here, I could type in light bulb, for example. So we could have our main product and then we could, give them this free light bulb, right? It only costs us $5 or $6 to fulfill. Okay. So you get the idea. You want to give your customers more for their money, or we could give them, a couple of these energy saving light bulbs for free, 1 or 2, right? And it doesn't cost us much extra to fulfill. It doesn't eat into our margin too much, but we can increase the overall perceived value of our product that we're selling. Okay, so that's the main area here. Images we've gone over this summary. Product page layout, keep it simple. Do not have big blocks of text. Never have big paragraphs of text. Always break up your copy or your text to make it easily digestible for customers. So I always call this headline, paragraph, image. Again, if we have a look here, if we scroll down, headline, paragraph, image, right? The headline should address a pain point. The paragraph addresses how your product solves that pain point, and then the image should match the copy. Okay, so you can see this is why walking in barefoot shoes is healthy, and then they expand on it. Don't have big blocks of text. Break it up. Headline, paragraph, image. Headline, paragraph, image. If we have a look here, if we scroll down, headline, paragraph, image. As we scroll, we've got, yeah, you get the idea, right? Headline, paragraph, image. So trying to break it up. Also, have a look at your competitors. When you're researching a product, try to have a look at loads of different stores. Look at which ones you think are good, right? And how you could improve on them. So don't just build your store without looking at competitor stores. Use them as inspiration. Use them as a skeleton. Look at their product page. Break it down. What have they got on their product page? You can see here, not sold on Amazon or eBay, right? You can see they've got lots of images here about what the product is used for. Now, another thing that you want is going to be reviews, all right? So you can see reviews here. If we scroll all the way to the top, we can click on their reviews. It comes down to the review section. You can use this app. It's called Judge Me, right? Judge Me reviews. If we go to the Shopify App Store, this is a completely free app that lets you import reviews from AliExpress, right? So you can find your product on AliExpress, you can import it to your store. That's how you can have all these reviews on your store, right? Reviews are super important. These will increase your conversion rate massively. So have reviews for the product that you want to sell on your product page. And then you want to have an FAQ section, right? So I don't think these guys have it, but most big stores will have an FAQ section. Right? If we scroll down, you can see they've got FAQs here. The FAQs should be related to the product. So they shouldn't just be general FAQs, like how long is the shipping? Do you have a refund policy? They should be related to the product. So do I need special insoles? What about socks? How do I find my right size? And then you can see we've got the reviews again down here, right? Review section. So just to recap again, images should match the branding of the rest of the store, and they should have information on them. You want to have a small section summing up the main benefits or the main outcomes that a customer will receive if they buy the product. Then you want to build out your offer. Are you going to bundle it? So you do a quantity break, people can get two and buy it cheaper. Are you going to bundle it with a complementary product so they get a free product with the main product they're buying? Are you going to bundle it with a digital product? Start thinking about that. And then with your product copy, make it easily digestible. Headline, paragraph, image, headline, paragraph, image, headline, paragraph, image. You can do about 3 of those, and they should focus again on tangible outcomes, customers' pain points, and how your product solves that pain point. Then we have an FAQ section, and then we have reviews, which you can import from AliExpress using the Judge Me app. We're going to stop there because we've got 10 minutes. We're going to open the chat and go through some questions. Well, hopefully, you've taken in some good information, and we will open the chat now. Okay, let's have a look. So David has said, how to make my store trustworthy through design to attract customers. Well, I think we kind of have gone through that. Simple color palette, simple font, black, white, gray, and an accent color. And then, as I've just gone through, if you follow that structure that I just went over, your store will look good. User said, what is the policy for refunds? You can, when you create your Zendrop account, there is a little chat bot within Zendrop. You can ask Zendrop the exact refund policy because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But basically, there are multiple ways that you can deal with refunds. From my experience with my own stores, if a product is very cheap to fulfill, I will just refund the customer and let them keep it. You can get them to send it back to you, and then you resell it. or you can get them to send it back to Zendrop and get a refund from Zendrop. So those are your options, basically. Gibbs said, I want to build my brand, but the product has the manufacturer's branding on it. I've reached out to the manufacturer about unbranded products, but they don't seem to be keen on it. I'm concerned that the customers will search and find the AliExpress page. What to do? I would probably just say find an easier product to sell. Yeah, that's not branded, because your other option is you can find another supplier for it, but it's going to be difficult. So just find something that's not already branded. Malcolm said that was good training, tons covered. Yeah, I'm glad to hear. Angel said, what if my niche is selling phone cases? Does everything you said still apply? Yes, pretty much. The only way that you can sell phone cases and be successful with it is if you have extremely unique designs for a very passionate audience, right? So, Labrador owners, let's say, and you tap into that market, you have really cool designs just for Labrador owners. Okay. If you're just selling very generic, basic phone cases, it's probably not going to work because they won't meet that key product criteria. Or it said, what was the question that you asked ChatGPT for the 30 problems? I just said, we have recorded this, so you can look back at it in the recording. But I've just said, I'm starting an e-commerce brand and I need to pick a niche for my store. I want to pick a niche that aligns with solving problems. You can say niche or product. So basically just say, I'm starting an e-commerce brand and I want to pick a niche, or I want to pick products that align with solving problems. Can you give me 30 problems in each of these categories? iPhone said, how can we build a strong and trusted store? Is there any videos? In the Zendrop Academy, we do have a complete course on everything I've just gone over. I show you step by step how to build out the store and make it look branded and professional. So you can have a look at that. D said, is there any way to set up a one-on-one call with someone? Yeah, in the Zendrop Academy, we do have a section where you can have a one-on-one call with our other coach, Ali. He does get booked up fairly quickly, though. Mark said, how can you sell another country if you're based in the UK? Don't you have to pay taxes to the country you sell to? I can't give you financial advice, of course. I have an accountant. You can do that. There are different tax laws in every country, basically. Once you reach a certain threshold of revenue in a certain country, you'll have to pay taxes to it. I wouldn't worry too much about it as a beginner, because you're not going to reach, for example, here in the UK right now, the VAT threshold is £84,000 in revenue. You're probably not going to, overnight bring in £84,000. So once you see your sales increasing incrementally and you're making profits and bringing your sales, then you can get an accountant. They can look at everything for you and they'll give you, the correct advice. But to answer your question, you could sell to any country you want to, basically. And then you can get an accountant to sort your taxes out for you. Abba said, how do you pair with a digital product? Where do we find or get it from? You can design it yourself. So for example, with an ebook, you can go onto ChatGPT. You can say, I'm in this niche, I'm selling this product. I want to create an ebook on, how to cure foot pain. And they will write it for you. Then you go into Canva, which is a graphic editing tool, and you can design it. You can also go on Fiverr and just say, find a gig on Fiverr and say, can you create an ebook for this niche or this product? Wazir said, can I do dropshipping from Bangladesh? How can I sell products to anywhere in the world? What are the difficulties? Yes, you can. I guess the only difficulty may be payment processes. But as long as you can get PayPal and connect that to your Shopify store, you're pretty much okay. And then you can run ads to any country you want to. Charlene said, how do I remove duplicate product images from my store? You just go into the product, and then in the gallery, you can just delete them. If for anybody that has Shopify specific questions, I always recommend just reach out to Shopify support. It's much easier than asking in our chat, because Shopify support can actually look at your store and they can, give you live feedback. It's very hard for us, at Zendrop to, see what the problem could be. So for anybody that has Shopify specific questions, always reach out to Shopify support. It's much quicker and much easier. Or it said, is there a way to see how much they paid for ads? Unfortunately, no, there isn't. But we obviously know that they're profitable because, for example, if we look at the SimilarWeb numbers, they're not going to be running at a loss. It's very unlikely. But we can't see exactly how much they paid for ads, unfortunately. Kes said, should there be multiple stores for different niches? For example, a pet product niche, a travel product niche. You can create stores within multiple niches. It's not my preferred strategy. So I would recommend to just find some well-researched products in one niche and build one store around it. Just start with one store at a time and testing one product. It's going to be very overwhelming if you're having 3 or 4 stores. So just, if you do want to test multiple products, then you can do that. But I personally just prefer one niche. We've got a couple more minutes, so we will go through the last couple of questions. David said, I'm not good at designing the store. Any help I could get on that? Just improve. It's better to learn it yourself in the beginning so you don't get ripped off paying designers and things like that. You can create some very simple, good looking stores without a lot of design skill. So I'd recommend checking out the Zendrop Academy lessons. In that course, we show you how to create your store step by step. Jonathan said, do you have any experience with people dropshipping food products like sauces, spices? I wouldn't recommend dropshipping ingestibles, so anything people can swallow or eat, because you don't know what the actual ingredients are. So no, I don't have any experience with that, and I wouldn't recommend that for beginners either. Krishna said, how to get access to the recorded videos. Go into the Zendrop Academy, and you'll see live recordings on the left-hand tabs. Kenyatta said, what about selling shoes? Is it a good niche? Yeah, if they solve a problem, like we've just seen with Pure Step, they're barefoot shoes, they relieve foot pain, they're for hiking. Yes, it can be a good niche, or you can do orthopedic shoes, things like that. Malcolm said, will this recording be in the Zendrop back office? Yeah, it will be. If you go into the Zendrop Academy, it will be in there. Ali said, appreciated. Yeah, you're welcome. iPhone said, is selling clothing a good niche? Clothing can be good, but with clothing, I recommend to just market one product at a time. Order a sample of the product, see if the sizing is good and the quality is good, and then you can market it. So don't sell clothing with a massive catalog of products. Just one item at a time, check the quality. Otherwise, you may get some refunds due to sizing issues. So always just check the sizing. But of course, yeah, it can be a good niche. For anybody asking where the recording is, it's in the Zendrop Academy. Go down the tabs on the side. You'll see live. You'll see recordings. Michael said, how do you add the free product when you're doing Shopify with Zendrop? You can import both products to your store. So the product you want to sell and the product that you want for free from Zendrop. And then in Shopify, you can create a bundle using an app, and you can set one of those products as a free product. When someone purchases it, the orders will still sync through to Zendrop, and then you just fulfill them on Zendrop. Teacher said, where is the best place to advertise and how do I start? There is no best place to advertise, is the answer. Research your product, as I've just shown you, and find markets that are not saturated for the product that you want to sell. So we just had a look at the crochet product. For that product, it looked good to sell it in Australia. For some products, it's better to sell it in the US, for some in the UK, for some worldwide. There isn't a best place to sell. Research your products and think about where you want to sell them. Benjamin has asked for a store review. We do store reviews on Thursdays. So we have a call on Thursday at the same time. So you can join on Thursdays and we do store reviews. We won't do store reviews today because we don't really have much time left. Admin said, I think I have too many products on my store. Yeah, I recommend joining our store reviews on Thursdays again. Clifford said, do we need to open a business account specifically linked to the site we build? You don't necessarily need to have a business account, but it does help, of course. You can just, with Shopify payments, you can connect a personal bank account to it. I think we're going to wrap it up there, right? Because we have a lot of questions still and we're running over time. But we do have day 2 tomorrow. And we do have other live calls coming up. So it was great to see everybody in here. I hope you took some value. You can have a look again at the recording in the Zendrop Academy. And yeah, I hope everyone's excited. The first day of 100 sales in 10 days. So I will see you on the upcoming live calls that we have. And great to see so many new faces in here. This is one of the busiest calls we've had, which is really good to see. Lots of people joining the calls. So have a nice morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I will see you all soon.